지금 다운로드 받으세요.
Welcome, everybody, to the SPL down here live at the Nexon Arena. I am in Valdez. With me tonight is Dan Artosis Stemkowski. Once again, how are you doing, man?
Man, I am so pumped about tonight. I mean, it's Pro League, dude. This is the oldest tournament in all of esports. I've been watching Pro League forever, and people probably don't know, but my original job when I moved here was casting Pro League for the company that SPL20 used to be called something else, but I worked for them for 2 years casting this league when I first came out, so it's really exciting to kind of come back to my roots and be able to do it again.
And you came on a great day, too. Lots of great players coming out here. The first game is going to be TY versus Deer, which is really cool to see. Deer, he got out of that SSL group that we cast, right? In third place.
By the skin of his teeth there at the end, It was not the most impressive Deer run. You and I thought he might get out in first place there that night, but was not meant to be.
Yeah, Alive and Beyond really showing up and playing some great Starcraft nowadays for sure. But he gets out, and he's going to have to go up against TY, a guy who got out of his group in first place and is known as one of the best Terrans, if not the best Terran. Although Alive and Beyond are trying to, jockey for that spot as well as Maru.
Right up. It's kind of crazy. The Terran lineup in Korea right now is serious business. So, pretty excited about tonight with TY playing. Obviously you guys always put in your predictions ahead of time. I don't really work here. I'm just kind of filling in, so mine won't be there. But I'm telling you, man, obviously I'm feeling TY victory here.
When we get to those predictions, you can just kind of put your thoughts in there, as we won't have a little Artosis box, not this time around, but we'll get those on screen eventually. TY versus Deer to start, then we're going to go into Zest versus Reality, Trust versus Bravo, and Stats versus Solar. So lots of great players coming out here for the first matchup.
Yeah, and you know what? This is, when I look at this, it's like, okay, everyone on Samsung has a chance in their match.
Yeah.
But it really feels, very favored towards KT here.
Yeah, I mean, they just have one of the strongest lineups currently in Korea. Just on the backs of TY, Zest, and Stats, they've been doing quite well. They're looking for a fourth player to fill in that other spot, and they're going to try out Trust today, which is kind of cool. Yeah,
they got Trust, they got Leenock, they got Lucira. They have Jokchi. He had a really tough night on Thursday, though, so I don't think we'll see him for a bit. But I think Trust, I'm not surprised. He did fantastically in GSL Korea despite not making it. And then, of course, in SSL, what a run, right?
Oh
my God.
I mean, that was a roller coaster for sure. He went 5-0 and then 0-5 and beat SOS in a best-of-1 tiebreaker. So, kind of hard to do.
Yeah, never thought anything like that would happen. But as you saw in those standings, KT, their top 3 so far up there right now. Yeah. Look at that down air on Zest because he lost a game to MC. Come on.
I don't really get that at all. He's got the seed into GSL, right? And he hasn't played in his group in SSL. He's in Group D. That's coming up, actually. That's going to be crazy. Next Thursday. It's the Group of Death.
Yeah.
That's why it's Group D. And, I think that downwards hour is because he lost that one game to MC.
Yeah.
Which,
well, I guess he deserves that then.
They're like, Zest, you're better than this.
Learn to play,
I can't believe you did this. You've embarrassed yourself.
I think that matchup is pretty interesting as well, by the way. Reality is playing some really strong Terran right now. Obviously, I would say Zest favored, but Reality, he's coming up.
And Terran just in general in Korea is doing really well these days. Like, just all the Terrans really putting their work in and getting those wins. Definitely not going to be super one-sided that game for sure. And, I'm just really looking forward to seeing all of these matches here. Lots of PVT tonight. We got 3 in a row, and then we have 1 PVZ. So.
Yeah, well, if we make it that far, someone's going to have to man up and beat a KT player if we're to see
Who's it going to be?
Stats Solar. I would love to see Stats Solar, though. I think that's the best match here out of all these. But Trust Bravo is a close second. Bravo's playing very, very well recently, and he's really strong against Protoss.
Yeah, don't count him out. I mean, even though Trust had a great run, he's definitely got some holes in his play, some weaknesses. He seems a bit inconsistent, seems a bit nervous when he gets on stage, whereas Bravo, I mean, when he first started playing out here for Samsung at Pro League, he looked kind of like Trusted, where he was like a bit nervous, like kind of, one day he was on, one day he was off, but he's really coming to his own, and he's looking a lot better these days.
Indeed he is. Here's our first matchup of the night that we've already kind of been talking about. TY against Deer. You know, I think that TY is just kind of another level from Deer, and Deer had to play way too many PBTs on Thursday.
Yeah.
So unless he, like, I think he has to bring a build order that he didn't use before. He needs to, you know, really switch it up here, or I would expect TY to crush him otherwise.
And it's going to be a bit rough. I actually can't see the predictions. Okay, it's 7-0, and currently, who's in first? Actually, 4 of us are tied for first. Daehyung, Kanata, me, and Wolf are all there at about 61%. But, yeah, I mean, Deer was relying on a lot of pylon strategies, you know, putting it at the bottom of the ramp, aggression early on in the game. But this is going to be Frost. This is going to be hard, I'd say, for him. So, guys, let's jump into game number 1 right now. TY versus Deer on Frost. Down here in the bottom right, in the red for KT Rolster, it is TY.
The beast himself.
And up in the top right, in the blue for Samsung, it is Deer.
You know, Deer was so promising during the first couple rounds of Pro League, during the first GSL season. Right now, it feels like he's in a little bit of a hard patch. He's just like maybe not keeping up with the meta or something like that. Maybe he's just having a rough week. I don't know, but he's got to have something special planned tonight.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And seeing as they are a bit close here, and it's not going to be that cross-map super macro game that TY is just fantastic at, I think this kind of favors Deer being a bit closer. Of course, it is going to allow TY to have easier access to drops and stuff like that, especially because the third base for Deer, it's going to have that high ground, which is really annoying. You're not going to take the other one because you're going to be so close to the turn. He just flies on over there, drops right behind your mineral line, not much you can do.
Yeah, and the way that TY splits up Protoss players and makes them run all over the place, that's going to be really hard for Deer to deal with. So I wouldn't mind him getting a lot of pressure on, maybe some sort of aggressive build. You know, the thing is, TY, like, one of the reasons why he's considered one of the best Terrans is he doesn't really die to anything early from Protoss. It's almost impossible to stop his defense.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, during the first Pro League season that I casted with Wolf, he was the one Terran that was actually winning all the time against Protoss. And Protoss, at the time, they were doing blink all-ins, immortal timings. It was just like so many all-ins and crazy stuff early on, but TY would always hold it with flying colors and then just go into a fantastic macro game to back it up. But the other Terrans were having a lot of trouble with that. So he's kind of stayed that way, same player, ever since that time. And it's really going to help him out here for sure.
Yeah, well, he gets a Reaper out, going to be able to scout anything that he really wants to early on here. Mothership Core, of course, being pushed out immediately. You know, it's kind of funny because Frost is such a large map. I think there'd be a fair amount of Protosses that wouldn't mind playing against a Terran here, but because it's such a large map, I also feel like that can be good for TY because he's just so good at his multitasking. And look at that, he's going to be going into a very fast third command.
Wants to get a bit greedy here on the economic side, and I think he's going to be fine to do that here. He is going to try to get a scout now, but is denied by the Adept. Would be funny if you could actually bounce Adepts down the cliff, and then you jump up, and then you get the scout.
That would be really
a sick
cool.
micro trick.
Like actual rocket jumping going on, like it's Quake 3 or something. It looks like all standard stuff coming out of Deer so far here.
Did you see that? Someone was cleaning Deer's face there. He was actually taking a little towel on the glass and like.
Oh really? I missed that.
Right when they put the camera up. Yeah.
Great job, guys. Mothership Core kind of poking in here. Not going to be able to get too much done though. Gets to see a Marine count generally. Neither of these guys really have a good idea of what each other is doing. I guess now he sees that Robo, so that's something, but. Not a whole lot of scouting going down for either side.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be able to see what other buildings are there. If the Twilight Council is out, what is he making out of that Robo first? You know, are there other gateways in the back? You know, maybe he's going for a Warp Prism drop. He doesn't really have all that information yet, so he's going to have to figure it out some other way, and he is going to send out a Marine now to the Watchtower, perhaps to try to spot something like Warp Prism, if that would come out here.
Yeah, he definitely does need to know about that. Has Stim on the way, did add those 2 barracks, so just making a lot of units at the moment. I do like that TY has followed up with that. He doesn't want to, lose to anything overpowering here from Deer. And when TY hits that mid-game, when Terran gets kind of that little spike in supply, that's where he's going to start to tear into Deer, and that's going to be the very important part for Deer to block.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice little test for him. I mean, you're going up against probably the best Terran at doing something like this.
Yeah.
There's other guys like Gumio, like Byun, who really love to just out-multitask you and just drop you all over the place. But TY definitely has brought that into his own play at a very high level.
Yeah, it's. I would say he's the best overall at multitasking, especially against Protoss. Just some of the moves that we've seen through the GSL final and his other PVTs TVPs all over the place. Like, he'll hit 3 locations at once with 600 APM, and that's
with ease. He's
insane.
Just like,
Guys, think of what your APM number is, you people watching at home. It could be like 100 or something. Imagine 6 of you playing in the same game. You think Archon mode is quick? Listen, you and 6 of yourselves would lose to TY's multitasking.
Yeah, it's actually true. And I think TY did an Archon match with... didn't you guys have that over there at the cross final, right?
Yeah, with Zest, actually.
I can't even imagine, how much APM those 2 guys have together. It's pretty insane.
It would be a lot. It would be quite a high number indeed.
Well, we have this Warp Prism out on the map, and Blink has finished up. It looks like Deer wants to push out and put a little bit of pressure on. He has to be careful, as TY has built up a nice amount of units here. But it looks like he wants to hit the front and then warp in somewhere towards the 3rd base or perhaps the main at the same time.
It is a solid strategy, but he's got to be careful when TY moves out here. If the DTs do nothing, if they're completely impotent, I feel like TY will probably roll him over at this point. Prism is flying over, does see this expansion. Dark Shrine about to finish, more gateways on the way as well. TY saw that, I guess.
Yeah, he saw that, actually. It flew right over into vision. But at the same time, the Blink Stalker's going to come in here and get this supply drop supply depot.
That's a pretty big deal, but TY finding this Prism is a big deal as well. Scans, gets that DT, and will kill this as well as the DT's in it, right? Oh,
what?
Just barely getting away there.
He doesn't focus it down. That would have been a dead Prism, and he could have
Yeah.
easily cleaned up the other DTs after that, but it survives, unfortunately, for TY, and we are going to have a robotics bay on the way. Is he going to... I think we were talking a little bit about this at the SSL. He's one of the Protosses that actually sometimes goes for that Disruptor play.
Yeah, he does like Blink Stalker Disruptor, so that's a possibility, but Colossus is the flavor of the week right now, or the month, whatever you want to call it. Since that buff, we've been seeing more and more Protosses try it out, so I would expect that, but if there was one top Protoss that would go Disruptor here, it would be Deer.
Yeah, let's see what he wants to do here. He is getting that +1 to weapons. TY already does have that. Looks like TY actually got a decently late combat shields. I think he got concussive shells before that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be Thermal Lance here in Colossi. So just going to try to get that big Protoss army, bringing the Death Ball back into into the meta, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, with how quickly that Colossus attacks right now, it's pretty crazy. And, you know, it feels like a lot of Terrans forgot how to play against Colossus. The amount of Terrans I've seen make like 4 Vikings versus Colossus, I'm like, just don't even make any if that's how you're going to do it.
And some Terrans also, they go for a bunch of Liberators, too. Where they're like, well, Liberators are good, right?
Yeah.
Well,
against
not
Colossi,
as good as
not
Vikings.
as much, really, to be honest. Like, Colossi is a good counter, in my opinion, to, you know, unranged Liberators. By the way, that was really cute. The second that his +1 attack finished, he did a 2 Adept warp in and did some harassment now that he could 2-shot those SCVs. So, kind of a cute little move from Deer.
Yeah, he knows his timings. He's out of the second forge here. He's going double upgrades. It looks like TY wants to do the same. Lots of scanning going down. He wants to see where this army is and see if he can abuse the Protoss here and try to go for some kind of drop. But Deer's been doing a good job of keeping those Blink Stalkers on the left side, making it hard to drop over there, and keeping this small army at the front as well to defend.
Deer is playing pretty smart here, I have to say. Like, the way that he's not taking a 4th base, because you'll see a lot of people take 4th bases with these Colossus builds anyways, but if he were to take a 4th, TY would start to destroy him because he would get spread too thin. So it's smarter for him to just sit back. Okay, he's got double forges, as you mentioned. He's getting more upgrades. He's getting the Colossus tech. And, you know, he's going to get into that kind of death ball play, but he needs the actual death ball to be able to secure another base.
Yeah, he's waiting here, kind of like a Zerg, I suppose, would wait on 3 base and just tech up to Ultras while defending at every side. He's just getting a bunch of Colossi and actually going into a Templar Archives at the same time. I wonder if he's going to go for Storm, or maybe he's just going to add a bunch of Archons into the composition.
I think he might just do a big frontal attack here, right? If he's got 3 upgrades and he's just been sitting here, he's trying to get as close to max as possible. No, I guess he does go into Storm and more upgrades. Never mind. Well, that means he has to take that 4th base.
Yeah. And this is TY's moment right here. Before Storm is done, before there are too many Colossi out there, before he gets that 4th base up and running, I think he needs to start going for some drops here and some aggression, but he's been relatively passive in this game, actually.
He's playing really careful, and we do have to point out he has his 4th base up first, which is nearly unheard of, but I think Deer played this right, so I think that's all right. And he's going for 3 to 4 Vikings at a time as well as Ghosts. So he's actually going into like a perfect composition, and as these pop out, he should be moving out because he's maxed before Deer is.
Yeah, and this is like the Terran Death Ball now, where it's just Vikings, Liberators, Marines, Medevacs, Marauders, and you know, adding some Ghosts too, because EMP is always going to be good against Protoss, and especially against High Templar with Storm. He's even got Widow Mines in there, actually, so he's just getting everything in this composition.
Yeah, he's getting a great amount of Vikings, too. He's going plus 10 Vikings, so that's really important, like we were talking about. You need to actually have enough to impact those Colossi right away. There's 4 of them out, so that's going to do sick damage.
Look at this. He's going for a big drop into the natural. There are a couple of cannons here, as well as the Mothership Core. 4 overcharges at the same time, but these Liberators actually getting into position now.
Man, those overcharges doing so much damage. He does end up killing off 10 probes, but you know, this won't stay around forever, this push. You can obviously blink over there and clear those out, but you know what? I think it was okay for TY, because I think he wants to actually get a slightly different unit composition than what he had. So to burn some units off, it's a pretty good way to do it.
Yeah, and it looks like he wants to go for it again, actually, because this time there's no cannons, there's no overcharges, and he's going to bring those units back once again. He hasn't dropped his entire army. And look at this, he wants to bring the Colossi over here and use his Vikings to snipe him. This is so smart.
Oh, man, look at that. Beautifully snipes one of these Colossi before it even gets a single shot off. A great move right there. Will start to pick up, has to leave some of these units here. Can't afford those Stalkers blinking and killing the medevacs. So TY starting to carve up some of these units and bases for Deer.
Yeah, I love that kind of strategy. We used to see that all the time on other maps that had big, you know, just open areas that Colossi could not walk into. You know, just, you know, terrain that you can't walk into, and you just use the Vikings to sit over them and get just nice pot shots in before the Colossi can do much about it.
Yeah, this is really solid play, but Deer is going to go ahead and counterattack. They're about even supplies right now. And, oh, he's got to be careful about those High Templars. Throws down the EMP. He misses, though. Psystorm on its way. Dodges most of it, but there's a lot more Psystorms where that came from.
I'm not sure if he's going to be able to deal with this. The position of his army makes it so stormable. And also, Deer's control on his army has been very careful. He's keeping those Colossi way back.
It looks like we have about 3 Psystorms left over here, so he just can't really engage this right now. If the Vikings or the army gets Psystorm, he's going to get wrecked. So this is pretty tough. This is a great push by Deer.
And normally I'd say it might be a little bit dangerous to push up this far, but if you see it, he backed away from the cliff so the Vikings can get shots on the Colossi, and the MM couldn't go up there. Here we go. He's going to try to snipe down that planetary, but the Colossi are getting sniped at the same time.
Oh, man, absolutely. The wrong move there by Deer, getting punished now as well. He's really not killed much of anything here. TY holds his 4th base.
And no more storms, so he can't really do anything about this. He's going to drop down all the Vikings, too, to help out in the fight. And this army is just toast. He's going to have to blink away.
Man, he's got a bunch of adepts warped in at home, but his splash damage is truly hurting at the moment. TY, with vastly superior supply, should be able to rally over and get some big damage done on a counterattack.
Yeah, and he also saves that 4th base, too. So much wasted DPS by Deer trying to shoot that down, but the repair keeps it alive, and the rest of his army was just dying the entire time.
Yeah, you can't attack into planetaries. Like, if TY's army is sitting right there and you attack into the planetary, that's exactly what he's hoping for you to do. So Deer getting way overconfident there, and that really cost him.
Yeah, it's literally the best position for a Terran to fight in.
Yeah.
You know, right next to a planetary, right?
Like,
so.
the amount of that's like the old version of attacking under, like, fighting under liberation zones.
Yeah.
Is attacking into a planetary. We haven't seen him really attack into liberation zones here, but he did, you know, the older version of that and really threw away a very expensive army.
Yeah, now he's desperately trying to get it up once again, but he only has 2 High Templar and 1 Colossus. A lot of Vikings remain too, so TY doesn't have to rebuild that. You see him just making 4 Ghosts at a time, as well as reinforcing that Liberator count. And not really making too much bio. You know, he really wants to save that supply for the, you know, the meaty units, the Liberators, the Ghosts.
Yeah, really teching his army out in this late game. I love that type of style, and this is one of the reasons why it's so fun to watch the very top Terran players. Like, this is just very different from how someone like Maru would probably play this position. You know, Maru would be like, more Marauders.
Yeah.
But here TY is, and he is getting like a very technical army that he's going to have to control beautifully to win this game.
And let's see how he wants to go for it here. I mean, looking at the supplies, TY is about to max out. And something we've been seeing more and more of, actually, out of Terrans out here, even Bjorn was doing this a lot, is once he got a lead, he never threw it away by like, oh, I won the fight, let me try to hit him while he's down. He's just like, no, I have a better economy, I'm just going to max out, and I'm going to be faster than you, because I killed so many of your expensive units, I can just do this so much faster. And once I hit 200, then I'm going to attack you, and then I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, I know. You know, the funny thing about, because I like totally agree with that, that's like when you're ahead, get more ahead mentality right there, and I love that he's doing it. One thing though, like, Deer has rebuilt a pretty scary army. If TY messes up at all, this army could wipe what he has.
We got a nuke on the way.
Ooh.
I wonder where he's going to put that. There are a lot of cannons over here at this 4th base, but once he snipes those, it's going to be pretty hard to defend.
Deer actually with the counterattack, he's going to lose his own 4th base here. A ton of liberation zones going up. He cannot attack into there.
Yeah, there's no way. He actually has to back off or find a different angle.
Yeah, he has to just go attack somewhere else, but he's got to be careful because TY can come in behind him here. He's going down towards his 3rd base location.
TY actually just sniped that 4th base of Deer, by the way.
Yeah.
In the meantime, that's done. So TY's like, oh yeah, I can lift this. That's fine. I mean,
he doesn't care at all.
I was mining from there for, you know, the majority of the game anyway, so.
Well, right now, it looks like a nuke is going off. That's kind of a funny nuke.
Is that like the hidden nuke? Hopefully he's going to run over there and not see the dot.
Yeah, maybe he thought.
Little hole, I don't
sometimes
know.
you nuke and hope that maybe they walk into that area. That would be a sick, lucky thing. But nukes aren't that expensive, I guess. But when you have to lift up both those mining bases, I mean, you got to be a little bit careful how you're spending your resources.
Yeah, for sure. Now look at this. TY's coming over here. Maybe he thought that perhaps Deer was taking a base on the left side, but Deer doesn't have that. He just has that 3rd base and natural kind of half mining at this point. So he really wants to put on the damage and attack. Looks like he is actually going to take his 4th base back here.
Dude, TY's play is so beautiful. Like, just look at the way he's setting this up, pushing out with mass liberators. He has this fleet of Vikings to protect them. You know, he's building a sensor tower there. He has the ghosts behind. He's very careful about how he's spending his money, like you pointed out, not over-making bio so he can have the tech units he needs. This kid is just so strong right now.
He's so patient, you know. He knows when it's going to be a good time to attack and when it's not going to be. And he's just letting Deer attack into him because he knows he has the pressure advantage. He's scouting the entire map right now for bases. And as long as Deer doesn't have another base, TY's ahead. So he's like, okay, you need to make the move. Okay, attack into my Liberators. Go ahead. Let's see how that goes for you.
This shows a lot of confidence by TY as well because he's letting Deer max out, which means the fight will be much more even in that regard. But I mean, it's TY. He's just looking at it and saying, I can absolutely beat you in a max versus max battle. And, you know, not too many Terrans really, you know, feel that confidence, I think.
Yeah, for sure. TY now he has Oh, boy.
Very nice EMPs going down. Ooh, a snipe as well. Picks off one of those High Templars.
Yeah. And TY's built up 12 Vikings now, so those 4 Colossi should easily be sniped. He's actually making more Vikings just to be safe against the Colossi. I guess he feels good against everything else at this point and just wants to buffer that army.
There are so many Liberators out right now that this army just can't really kill them all. I guess they'd have to be clumped and get stormed a lot. It's so adept heavy. 32 adepts. That is a crazy number for so late into the game.
Yeah, I was watching GSL yesterday, and you guys were talking about how adepts, you generally don't really want them towards the later stages. You know, you want Archons, you want Immortals, Colossi, Storm. Here we go, trying to get some EMPs down.
Ooh, he's got to be careful about that bridge. The Liberator's starting to set up those Liberation zones all over the place. A nice Psystorm does go down, but he loses quite a few units here.
He's on the chase, and the Vikings, they want blood. They want this Colossus blood, but they're not quite able to find it just yet, as Deer just backing off.
This 4th base of Deer just going to be absolutely pummeled. TY is making it. He's waiting for Deer to attack in and lose the game. He is not pressing too hard. He's just pressing hard enough to kill the 4th base over and over.
Yeah. And now look at Deer. He's still on 3 base, and he's trying to make Tempest. He's not even mining gas right now. Look at his gas. It's not even going up.
What's his income? It's like nothing right now. And finally, TY is going to go into Liberator range, and that's going to be like the nail in the coffin right there.
Yeah. Probably could have gotten that a while ago, but I guess he just wanted to have units first, and then once he felt comfortable, get it later on. Liberators without range are going to be okay, especially because there's not that many Stalkers in here. It's going to be rough for them to blink under this many Liberators anyway. So
he's got the Tempests have to do the job here. He does have a couple of them, so starts to push it back. TY just going to run away. Doesn't want to have this fight quite yet. And that's smart because he's mining at least more than Deer is right now. So the longer he makes this, just, it helps him to build up a little bit more bank. It helps Deer to have less there waiting.
Yeah. And you could see, I was talking about TY scouting the entire map for bases. He did it again, actually, with some bio on the left side of the map. And he sees once again that Deer, he's only got that 1 base. Oh, man, a huge EMP on all of those adepts in the front. But it still doesn't go for the fight, though.
No, just picking off anything he can. Look, guys, this is just ridiculously good Terran play. He is picking things off. His Vikings have that range. He's out-microing our Protoss player Deer here. Just awesome, awesome play. Never throwing his army away one time.
Yeah, so beautiful to watch.
Yeah, he's just whittling him down. There's not much Deer's going to be able to do against this.
And now he's forced to fight in here, but his entire army doesn't have shields. He lost all of his high-tech stuff right there. And now what is he going to do? Attack in with Adept Stalker at 22 minutes into the game? That's not going to work.
Yeah, this is a minute 7 unit comp that we're looking at. And 22 minutes in, TY has every toy that he wants.
TY still hasn't dealt with this DT. Okay, there he goes.
All right, this is going to be it, guys. Deer standing his ground will end up going down. And GG, TY showing why he is the best Terran on the planet. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So good.
That was just like a master pianist going at it, It was like we were watching a concert, and it was just perfect. It was beautiful. Every single thing that he did, basically. I didn't notice really many mistakes at all, if any.
No, he just played a fantastic game right there, and it was so patient. He knew what to do at every single step of the way, and he just starved Deer out. Eventually, Deer had to attack into him, and TY's ready. It's like you can't attack in the liberation zones. And so I guess TY's just like, well, I mean, as long as, I'm always under liberation zones, I'm fine.
He just cut off any win condition that Deer had. He just killed all the bases that Deer was trying to get up, and he took it very slowly. He's like, you can't attack into me, and you can't keep expanding. I'm just going to keep shutting it down.
Yeah. One thing I do want to point out is Deer had an okay position once until he attacked into the planetary. That was a big mistake for Deer.
Yeah.
If he hadn't done that, if he had maybe just rotated in another direction, maybe hit the 3rd base, something like that, that would have been a very good move. But to attack a planetary,
especially because he was in a great position in between the natural and that 4th. When he went up the ramp, and TY was like, oh, well, how do I attack this now? I can't really.
Yeah.
His Colossi were protected. The bio couldn't go up the ramp. there was just too much AoE, and Deary could have easily rotated down to the third base and tried to go down there.
He's mobile there, right? Like, if you're trying to hide behind a planetary and liberators and stuff, that's immobile.
And it's like he won the positioning war, but then he threw it away. He's like, no, I'll give you back your position and attack into your planetary so that I have no chance.
That was rough.
Yeah. The only other thing, I guess, that he might have been worried about is that if he went to the third base, maybe TY just picks up and goes over to the fourth and shuts it all down and goes into a base race. So it's pretty far away. It would have been hard for Deer to deal with. So I guess that's one thing that maybe Deer was thinking about, like, oh, I don't want to get too far into the base.
Yeah.